Alright guys, welcome to Tomes. This is a brand new project we're putting together. If you're familiar with any of my other work, it's on the Janus project. What I've decided to do is spin all of my book reviews over here to this channel. What we are reviewing today is this work by Doug TenNapel. It is called Earthboy Jacobus, and I'm really excited about this one because he's actually going to be re-releasing it soon. So I may get to do a review of the newly released version, but yeah, this is the one I have for right now. Now, it's really fascinating because if you understand the book of Jonah in the Bible, if you're not aware, Doug TenNapel's a Christian. He pulls a lot of imagery and other things from, again, various biblical writings and biblical principles, even if it's not outright stated. And so the idea of Jonah is going to play a really important role here. I was cued in on this because there is a prayer or a line of text, I guess you could say. I call it a prayer. You'll find out why in the end of the book. And as I was doing some research, someone mentioned, they were like, what is that Hebrew? What's that all about? And it's actually the prayer of Jonah that he prayed while in the belly of a whale. And that's, if you don't know the story of Jonah, let me give you a brief recap because it's going to play an important role as you read the plot of Earthboy. Jonah is given a task by the Lord. He is basically being pressured by the Lord to go to a city called Nineveh. He doesn't want to. He's running away from God. And so he ends up proceeding to flee the complete opposite direction. And God is doing all this stuff to get Jonah's attention. So God sends a big storm. Jonah has the people on the boat throw him overboard rather than go where God wants him to. And Jonah basically is hoping more or less to commit suicide, and God doesn't allow him to do that. And in short, he has him swallowed by this giant fish. All right, and that's again in Hebrew it would be more like a giant sea monster type thing. And so he's swallowed by this thing, and it takes several days before he finally repents of his sin and basically prays to the Lord from the depth of the fish and is spat up on dry ground. And so that actually plays a role here because as you get to this character, what they do is, for one thing, there's the whale metaphor because they use these interdimensional whales to travel between dimensions. I don't think that's where the Jonah metaphor really shines, but there is this giant creature that is present throughout the book. And so basically what it is you have Earth and you have a parallel reality to it. And I can't give you all the details, but just know, like, you put on these special glasses and you can see what's in a parallel dimension, and it's exactly like Earth. It's just corrupted by these creatures that basically make you part of their hive mind. And so what happens? You have the chief. He's not quite the main character, but more or less, he's the Jonah in the story. And he retires. He's basically heading home. And so let me show you some of what you've got here. Okay, so you got Earthboy Jacobus here by Doug TenNapel. And again, the summary on the back of the book. Chief Edwards retires from the Modesto Police Department, doomed to face a life of loneliness and insignificance. Everything changes when the chief hits a flying whale with his car. When he opens the beast's mouth, he finds a boy from a parallel universe named Jacobus. And again, just amazing stuff. When you've got the guy who writes Hellboy praising your work, you've done something good. All right. And again, here is, again, you've got some Pinocchio metaphors here, which if you understand the story of Pinocchio, it is very similar to the story of Jonah. I won't get into all of the archetypes and stuff, but again, it's the father figure swallowed by a whale. So what Doug TenNapel is basically doing here is he's merging Pinocchio with Jonah and pulling aspects of both of that. And so you see that in the two chapter headings. So it's his retirement party. He's basically, what you got here is the introduction of the chaplain and the introduction of the chief. And that relationship is going to play a really important role throughout the book. The chaplain keeps trying to get the chief converted, and the chief just doesn't want to do it. He's on the run from God. All right. And again, so on and so forth. They're both in the Marines together. And it's just, again, there's a lot of this imagery that will make sense as you go through the rest of the story. Now, he is driving home. He's kind of facing the monotony of what his life's going to be like. And this is where the giant whale appears, and he crashes into it. All right, and this is an interdimensional whale. Earthboy Jacobus uses it to escape. The other creatures kill them and use their skin to travel around. So it's a really neat premise. And anyway, he adopts the boy, and you can kind of see some of what he does there. And so again, it's a fascinating little story. I would suggest you guys pick it up and read it. I don't want to ruin it with spoilers. I might do that in some other video. But again, he is rescuing this boy. Now, what's interesting is the boy has something weird with his hand. And that plays a role because, again, he has some powers, he has some abilities. He's got to be careful that they don't overwhelm him. It's a done cliche, like we understand that type of thing, but it does play a rather important role. The one thing you're going to have to pay attention to as you read the story is it does have some pretty good leaps. The story hops around a good bit, even chronologically, like you skip a few years and you're like, oh, wait, I skipped a few years. So the first part of the story is kind of them at the chief's house. They realize that's no longer safe, so they flee to the chaplain's house. They realize that's no longer safe, and then it jumps into the parallel dimension. And so you have like three major regions of it. The boy's mom, who's like a hologram, comes into play in a little while, and there's kind of a romance. Again, I don't know if the copy I had was missing some pages, or if that's just the way the story's told. As you read it, you feel like you missed something, but as you go back, you're like, oh, okay, I mean, I understand it all. I just feel like there was an introduction or a build-up there that maybe wasn't there. I will tell you, the very end of the book got me. There was this part that makes a lot of the previous parts of the book just come together, and you're like, oh, you got me. That's just dirty. It comes with a lot of TenNapel's very distinct art, and so here's a part right here. The boy keeps seeing something in the closet, and that's what comes out of the closet, so it's kind of fun. But again, it's this... The creatures are jumping from dimension to dimension, taking over each dimension, and whatever they tried to do to Earthboy Jacobus didn't work, and so that's why they're after him. And so again, you see some characters get transformed into these creatures, but then other characters transform back, and it just plays a whole row. And again, it's a fascinating study. It will move you. I will say there's a bit of language in the book, so if you are susceptible to that, you're bothered by language, just understand. You can see it even on this page right here. Most of the language are things like damn and hell and stuff like that. So if that's something you're sensitive toward and you're bothered by, just understand you're dealing with a main character who is a Marine. So naturally that's what he would talk like. And so again, it's realistic to the characters. It's not explicit, but again, if you do have a problem with that, there's also some violence. There's a lot of fighting and things like that. Here, again, this alien character gets shot a whole bunch of times and things like that. So it fits with the character. Nothing seems out of place, but there are some Doug TenNapel books that are a little more graphic than others. I wouldn't even say this is the most graphic one, but it is, again, a little more on the graphic side. So again, I hope you will get a chance to pick this up once the new Earthboy Jacobus Kickstarter or Indiegogo or whatever he decides to do comes up. I'll put a tag down in the description there. But this was just a fascinating story. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'd recommend it to you guys as well. And go pick it up and enjoy it to your heart's delight. Guys, this has been Tomes. This is just a new series we're putting together. I hope you guys enjoy it. And I hope you'd give me a like and a subscribe and comment below what you think of it. Or if you're going to go grab this one, I would recommend it. Let me know what you think of it. All right, guys, I will see you next time on Tomes.